My wife left me for her boss, thinking she'd get a promotion. So I sent all their texts to HR, and she got demoted instead. Now she's stuck with him and a much smaller paycheck. I never imagined my life would turn into the kind of drama you only hear about on daytime TV or read on Reddit. I've always been the quiet, dependable guy who loves his wife, works hard, and comes home to a simple life. But everything changed about 6 months ago when my wife, Mia, started acting strange. Mia and I had been married for 7 years. We met in college and hit it off immediately. She was ambitious, driven, and had a knack for problem solving, which made her great at her job in corporate management. I run a small landscaping business, and while my job is more hands-on, I've always been proud of her professional achievements. But recently, her behavior left me questioning everything. It all started with small changes. She began working late more often, which wasn't unusual for her position, but it became excessive. She was constantly glued to her phone, giggling or smiling at texts she didn't share with me. Our conversations dwindled, and when we did talk, she was distant, like her mind was elsewhere. I tried not to jump to conclusions. Maybe she was stressed about work, I thought. Maybe she was dealing with something she didn't know how to share. But then came the nights when she wouldn't come home until after midnight, claiming she was at the office. I'll admit, my instincts were tingling, but I didn't have any solid proof, so I didn't want to accuse her of anything. I trusted her. At least, I thought I did. One Friday night, Mia came home even later than usual. She stumbled through the door, her hair a mess, and her phone practically glued to her hand. She looked startled to see me awake. When I asked her where she'd been, she muttered something about a team dinner. She went straight to bed, leaving her phone on the kitchen counter. Normally, she was extremely protective of her phone, but tonight, she must have been too tired, or too confident, to notice. That was when my curiosity got the better of me. I hate snooping, but something inside me screamed that I needed to know what was going on. I opened her phone and saw a string of texts between her and her boss, Ryan. The messages were too familiar. They weren't outright incriminating, but they left little room for doubt about what was happening between them. One message from Ryan said, "Just remember, everything we talked about tonight will pay off soon. You're going places, Mia." Her response: "I hope so. I've sacrificed a lot for this." It didn't take a genius to figure out what was going on. Mia had been spending all this extra time with Ryan, not because of work, but because she believed he held the key to her getting a big promotion. She was sacrificing our marriage for a chance to climb the corporate ladder. At first, I didn't know what to do. Confronting her seemed pointless since she clearly didn't respect our relationship anymore. So, I decided to bide my time and gather more evidence. I needed to see the full picture before making my next move. Over the next few weeks, I collected screenshots of their messages and emails. I found proof that Mia was not only emotionally involved with Ryan but also neglecting her work responsibilities. She was banking on her relationship with him to secure her next promotion, but in reality, her job performance had slipped. Finally, I reached a breaking point. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. She had chosen to betray me and gamble with her career, thinking she was untouchable. It was time for her to face the consequences. I compiled all the evidence into a neat little folder and drafted an email to Mia's HR department. I included screenshots of her conversations with Ryan, highlighting anything that showed favoritism or unprofessional behavior. I didn't embellish anything. I let the evidence speak for itself. Once the email was ready, I hesitated for a moment. This wasn't just about getting revenge, it was about holding both Mia and Ryan accountable for their actions. With a deep breath, I hit send. The next few weeks were interesting, to say the least. Mia was called into multiple HR meetings, and Ryan faced similar scrutiny. Word spread around the office, and soon everyone knew about their arrangement. The HR department determined that their relationship had violated company policies, and while Ryan managed to keep his job, barely, Mia wasn't so lucky. She was demoted to a lower-paying position, and her dreams of a big promotion evaporated. To make matters worse, Ryan distanced himself from her to save his own skin. Now she was stuck in a dead-end job with a tarnished reputation, and she had no one to blame but herself. As for me, I've moved out of our shared home and started the divorce process. I'm not going to lie, it hurts to see the person I once loved become so unrecognizable. But I also feel a sense of closure, knowing that I stood up for myself and didn't let her walk all over me. If there's one thing I've learned from this experience, it's that trust is fragile. Once it's broken, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. And as much as I wish things could have turned out differently, I'm grateful for the clarity this situation brought me. That's where things stand for now. Who knows what the future holds, but one thing's for sure, I'm done being a doormat. If Mia thought she could have it all without consequences, she was sorely mistaken. After the dust settled, I spent some time reflecting on everything that had happened. I wasn't just hurt, I was angry. Mia had thrown away years of marriage for a gamble, and her arrogance made it clear she thought I'd never fight back. But I had fought back, and while her demotion was satisfying, I wasn't done yet. I wanted her to understand the full weight of her choices. I decided to make sure the fallout from her betrayal wasn't just a bump in the road. She'd burned me, and I wasn't going to let her walk away thinking she could treat people like stepping stones. Mia had moved in with Ryan after everything came to light. I guess she thought they could ride out the scandal together, but their honeymoon phase didn't last long. It turned out Ryan wasn't the knight in shining armor she'd imagined. Without the promotion hanging in the balance, he lost interest in playing the supportive partner. Meanwhile, I decided to tie up some loose ends. First, I sold the house. It was in my name, and with the divorce proceedings underway, I saw no reason to keep it. Mia begged me to let her stay, claiming she didn't have the money to move anywhere decent. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I sold the place for a nice profit and used the money to get myself a fresh start. Next, I made sure her reputation at work was fully intact, by which I mean everyone knew the truth. Some of her coworkers already suspected the relationship with Ryan wasn't above board, but once HR conducted its investigation, the details became public knowledge. She was labeled as someone who used personal connections to try to get ahead, and her coworkers no longer trusted her. Even after her demotion, she found herself isolated at work. But the real kicker came when I discovered a small but significant detail about her employment contract. It included a clause about maintaining professional conduct, even outside the office. Armed with this information, I tipped off HR one last time. I provided proof that Mia and Ryan's relationship had started during work hours, using company resources. While it didn't get her fired outright, it put her on probation and tanked any remaining goodwill she had with the higher-ups. Not long after, Ryan ended things with Mia. Without the promise of a promotion or a cushy future, she wasn't worth the trouble to him. Mia was left scrambling, trying to piece her life back together. She moved into a tiny apartment on the other side of town, barely making ends meet with her reduced salary. I heard from mutual friends that she regretted everything. She tried to reach out to me a few times, leaving teary voicemails and writing long emails about how she'd made a mistake and wanted to fix things. But by then, I was long past the point of caring. She had made her bed, and now she had to lie in it. As for me, life is better than it's been in years. I used the money from selling the house to expand my landscaping business, and it's thriving. I even took some time to travel, a dream I'd always put on hold while supporting Mia's career. It feels good to focus on myself for once, to rebuild my life on my own terms. I've also reconnected with old friends and made some new ones along the way. For a while, I thought I'd never trust anyone again, but I've realized that not everyone is like Mia. There are still good, honest people out there. The best part of all this isn't watching Mia struggle, though I'd be lying if I said it wasn't satisfying. No, the sweetest revenge is knowing that I took control of my life and came out stronger on the other side. I didn't let her betrayal define me, and I didn't let her win. If Mia taught me anything, it's the importance of standing up for yourself and knowing your worth. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't just about justice, it's about building a life so good that the people who wronged you can't touch it. And that's exactly what I've done.